Section 2.3 Applications of percent. Objectives: change percent to decimals and decimals to percent, solve percent problems, solve applied percent problems, and find percent of increase or decrease, solve discount and commission problems.
Our logical path for unit percentage, we will start from the definition of 1%. Then we will move to the situation when we will have more than 1%. After that, we will look into options. How can you show percent using different notations? And then, finally, we will talk how to convert one form into another one. Step number 2, presentation of subunits. Modeling. As you know, $1 is worth 100 pennies, 100 cents. If we divided $1 by 100, we get 1 penny. Value of 1 penny we can show as a fraction, ratio, 1 over 100, or as a decimal, 1/100th, or as a 1% of $1. From this modeling, you can see that 1% means 1 part per 100. Percent symbol represents a denominator of 100. Thus, 1% equals 1 over 100 or 1/100th in decimal. Percent represents a fraction where a denominator is always 100, not more, not less. When we are using percent, we have to be more specific. We have to identify percent of what. Look, 1% of $1 is 1 penny, but 1% of $500 is $5. Big difference. Let me remind you, right-click on the mouse can pause your presentation, left to resume. Now, real-life situation in the store. You have quarter, dime, and penny. You can add, and total value is 36 cents. You know that a quarter is worth 25 pennies, and dime is worth 10 pennies. So, we can show their total value using equivalent 3 types of notation: fractions, decimal, and percent. All of this possible because the word percent means parts per 100. Thus, 25% equals 25 over 100 or 25/100ths in decimal. 10% equals 10 over 100 or 10/100ths in decimal. Now we can say fractional notation is if you see the fraction bar and 100 as a denominator. Decimal notation if you see decimal point or if you can rewrite number having decimal point. Percent notation if you see the symbol percent. Now we are ready to practice. Problem number 1. Change 67% notation to a fractional and decimal notations. First, let's convert to a fraction. Just replace the percent symbol by a denominator of 100. Next conversion is to decimal. Show the numerator and move decimal point 2 places to the left. Problem number 2. Change fractional notation 35 over 100 to a decimal and percent notations. Okay, first let's convert to a decimal. Show the numerator and move decimal point 2 places to the left. Next conversion is to percent. Just move the decimal point 2 places to the right and add the percent sign. Problem number 3. change fraction 3/5 to a decimal and percent notations. First, in this case, the denominator is not 100, but we know that a fraction bar is a division, so 3 divided by 5 is 60 hundredths. As a result, we have the decimal notation. Next conversion is to percent. Just move the decimal point 2 places to the right and add the symbol percent.
Now let's talk about vocabulary. If we have $1 and $1 divided into 100, then we will have 1 penny, which means 1/100, or 1/100, or 1% of $1. Now, $1 we would call a base, what we had in the beginning, and 1% of $1, which is 1 penny. So 1 penny would be amount. Next example, if we have $50 and we divide it by 100, so $50 is a base, what we had in the beginning. And then $50 divided into 100, we will have 50 cents, or half of dollar. So now 50/100, or half, or 1% of 50. So now 1% of 50 is half of dollar, 50 cents. This is an amount. The last example. If we have $400, so $400 is a base. Now if $400 we divide it by 100, then we will have $4. How can we show this in algebra? It can be 400 or 100 as a fraction, or it can be just 4.00 in decimals, or we can say 1% of 400 is $4. So $4 we would call an amount. In previous examples, we talked about 1%, and now let's develop idea about more than 1%. So if we have 1% of 400, and this is $4. Now if you want to calculate 3% of 400, how can we do this? It looks like we have to multiply by 3, and we will have, in fraction, it will be 1200/100, or just 12. So now we can say 3% of 400 is $12. What happened here? We just multiply by 3, what represents 1%. Now, more formal approach. We are going to learn how to translate the words into an equations. Previous example tells us 3% of 400 is $12. How to use algebra? We have to show 3% in decimals. It will be 300. Word of multiplication. 400 is 400. Word is symbol equal, and 12 is 12. Now we can show percent times base equal amount, or you can use formula P times B equal A. These three variables, P, B, and A, they can be unknown. percent can be unknown, base can be unknown, or amount can be unknown. So we have to develop three types of equations. First type of equation. What number is 3% of 400? We are looking for amount. Corresponding equation will be x equal 300 times 400. Because what number we don't know, this is what we show as a variable x, is sign equal. 3% we have to show in decimal notation, it will be 300 of multiplication. 400 is 400. Next type of equation can be 12 is 3% of what number? We are looking for base. Again, how to translate this into equation? 12 is 12. Word is sign equal. 3% we have to use in decimal notation, so it will be 300 of multiplication. And what number? Is a variable x. And the last type of equation, 12 is what percent of 400? We are looking for percent. How to convert this? It will be 12 equal x times 400. 12 is 12. Word is symbol equal. What percent we are looking for? This is unknown, so we have to show as a variable of multiplication, and 400 is 400. In previous slide, we learned how to write out an equations. Now we have to focus how to solve those equations. The first type. What number is 3% of 400? As you remember, x equal 300 times 400. The easiest, just use your calculator and you will see the result. Second equation. 12 is 3% of what number? 12 equal 300 times x. We are looking for base. Let's solve this for x. We have to divide it both sides by 300 and simplify. 300 divided by 300 is just 1. So then we will have x equal 12 divided by 300. Use your calculator and you will see x is 400. Base is 400. And last type, 12 is what percent of 400? As you remember, equation will be 12 equals x times 400, and we are looking for x. We have to divide it both sides by 400 and then simplify, because 400 divided by 400 is just 1. So x is 12 over 400. You can use your calculator and you will see 300. It's decimal notation. For all calculations, we have to use decimal notation for percentage. This is why if you have to show the answer, you have to convert decimal notation into percent. It will be 3%, because 3 hundredths or 3 over 100 is just 3%. Percent is a fraction with a special denominator 100. More practicing problems. Question is 5% of 400 is what? First of all, an equation. 5% we have to show in decimals, 500ths. Word of multiplication, 400 is 400. Word is symbol equal, and we are looking for an amount we don't know. That's why we have to show as a variable x. After that, just use your calculator and 500 times 400 and you will see the answer, 20. In your notebook, translate the words into an equation and then solve. You can check your work and after that resume slideshow. More practice problems in order to find the base. 3% of what is 12? So we are looking for base because percent times base is an amount. And corresponding equation is 300 times x equal 12. 3% we have to show using decimal notation. 300 word of multiplication, and we are looking for base. Word what we have to show as a variable x is symbol equal and 12 is 12. Now we have to solve this equation for x. How can we do this? We have to have positive 1x on the left by itself. So we have to divide it both sides by 300 and simplify. 300 divided by 300 is just 1, so 1x is left over on the left, and then 12 divided by 300, use your calculator and you will see 400. In your notebook, translate the words into an equation and then solve. You can check your work and after that resume slideshow. Practice problem to find percent. What percent of 400 is 12? We are looking for percent. Let's convert into corresponding equation. What percent we don't know, we have to use variable x. Word of multiplication, 400 is 400, word is symbol equal, and 12 is 12. Now we have to solve this equation for x. We have to divide it both sides by 400 because we are looking for positive 1x. Now 400 divided by 400 is 1. So x would be 300 because 12 divided by 400 gives you 300. So our answer in decimal notation. For all calculations we have to use decimal notation. But question was what percent? So we have to convert decimal notation into percent notation. 300 means 3 over 100. So it's practically 3% because percent is just a fraction with denominator 100. In your notebook, translate the words into an equation and then solve. You can check your work and after that resume slideshow.
Solving word problems. Most word problems require equations. Let's talk about logical path for solving word problems. You have to read problem entirely. Get a feel for the whole problem. It's important to understand what the problem is asking, what exactly is the question you need to answer. After that, let's talk about first step analysis. You have to pick a variable to stand for unknowns, clearly labeling these variables with what they stand for. After that, read the problem again in order to recognize quantities and the relations between them, between numerical values and variables. Look for keywords. After that, you will be ready to translate the word problems into equation with variables. And then you have to solve this problem. It's important to check your work as you go, and after you finish, you make sure you are getting the result that makes sense. And finally, you are ready to write the answer. But please remember, to really learn how to do word problems, you have to practice more and more and more and more.
Now it's time for word problems. Problem number 1. Jeans are on the sale at the local department store for 25% off. If the jeans originally cost $62, find the sales price. Okay, so we are looking for the sale price. Analysis. Original cost, this is what we know, $62. And then rate of discount, 25% off, or 2500 using decimal notation. Then discount would be 25% off of what? Of original cost. So it would be 2500 times 62, because word off means multiplication. And we are looking for what? We are looking for sale price. Now we are ready to write and solve the equation. 62 original price, we have to subtract discount, which is 2500 times 62, and this is what we are looking for. It gives us sale price. So it will be 62 and negative 2500 times 62 equal x. Now we have to solve the equation. First, multiplication, and then just 62 subtract the result of multiplication, and you will see x. So x is 46.5. We want to be sure that our equation was correct and our solution was correct. This is why step number 3, checking. We have to replace in our original equation x by 46.5 and check, is left right equal to right side or not. Use your calculator and you will see 46.5 equal to 0.6.5. So it looks like we're doing okay. Now the last step, we have to write out the answer. Because question was, what is the sale price? The answer is, sale price is $46.5. Problem number 2. 9% of students at the university attended a lecture. If 3,000 students are enrolled at the university, about how many students attended the lecture? So what we are looking for? We are looking for students attending the lecture. Number of students attending the lecture. Analysis. What do we know? how many students were enrolled? 3,000. And we know rate of attendance, 9% of, or in decimal notation, 900. And question is, how many students attended the lecture? So we have to use variable x because this is what we are looking for. Now we are ready to write out an equation. We are looking for amount. So 900 times 3000 is x. Using your calculator, you will see 270 is x, or x is 270. Next step would be checking. We have to replace x by 270 in our equation and check, is left side equal to right side? Yes. So now we know that we are ready to write the answer. Question was, how many students attended the lecture? We can answer the question. Students attended the lecture is 270. We can say 270 students attended the lecture. Next problem. If 8 is increased to 15, the increase is what percent of the original number? So the question is, the increase is what percent of the original number? So we are looking for percent. Analysis. What do we know? The original number is 8. And increased number is 15. And question is, the increase is what percent of the original number? So first of all, we have to find increase because we don't know increase. So we have to mark as a x. And then we have to answer the second question. The increase is what percent of 8 of original number? So we have to mark this as a y. Now we are ready to write an equation. So the first part would be, we have to write out an equation to find an increase.
15 minus 8 is x.
So x is 7 and it's our increase. We answer the first part. Now, second part. The increase, in this case, it's 7. 7 is what percent of 8? We can show this as equation. 7 is simple equal what percent? It's our variable y, and 8 is 8. Now we have to solve this equation for y. We have to divide it both sides by 8, and y would be 7/8 or 87.5%. Now checking. When we are checking, we have to replace y by corresponding number and check, is right side equal to left side or not. If you use your calculator, you will see that 7 equals 7, and you can answer the question. The increase is 87.5%. Next problem is similar to previous ones, only in this problem we are talking about decrease. If 25 is decreased to 12, the decrease is what percent of the original number? So the question is, the decrease is what percent of original number? This is what we are looking for. Analysis. What do we know? Original number is 25. Decreased number is 12. And question is, the decrease is what percent of original number? We don't know decrease in the beginning, so we have to find decrease first. So the decrease, let's mark as variable x. After that, if we would be able to calculate decrease, then we can answer the question. The decrease is what percent of original number? So we can mark part B, the decrease is what percent of 25 as a y. Now we are ready to write out an equation and solve it. So part A, we are looking for decrease. We have to subtract 12 from 25, and this is our x. So x is 13. This is our decrease. Then part B. The decrease is what percent of 25? Decrease is 13. So now 13 is what percent of 25? We can write out an equation. 13 is 13. Word is, symbol equal, what percent variable y of multiplication 25 is 25. We are looking for y. We have to divide it both sides by 25. So y would be, as a result, 13 over 25, or 52 hundredths, or 52%. So now checking. As you remember, when we are working on equations, we have to use decimal notations for percent. This is why in our original equation for part B, we have to replace y by 52 hundredths and check, is our left side equal to right or not? Use your calculator and you will see that they are equal. That tells that our solution is correct and we are ready to write out the answer. The decrease is 52%.